Good afternoon and welcome to our very first informed session. And I'm thrilled to have Dr. Marianne Potter and Katlego Motubatse joining us with Audrey Nanjala, who will be interviewing them today. And the idea is really just to learn more about one another and about the world of research. So over to you guys. Enjoy the session.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, so I'll start with a question to just warm us into the discussion. Thank you so much for sending your articles to me earlier in the week. I would just love for you guys to please introduce yourselves as well as your research. Very briefly, tell us what you do and what your research interests are.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. My name is Katlego Motubatse. I'm a fashion designer lecturer, and my discipline is, my research topic that I did for my master's is bra size and fit problems, and the other one is Amazulu attire into the fashion space.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Marianne?
Hello, I'm Dr. Marianne Potter, and I don't know if I'm a seasoned researcher. I'm a researcher on a journey, and my research interests cover a wide range of topics. I'm primarily centered in English literature and cultural studies, but I'm more an interdisciplinary researcher.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm very curious to know what inspired you to pursue research? It's not an everyday career where you meet people and they tell you, I want to get into research. I know exactly what I'm going to do in research. So how did you get to decide on that?
Well, it was an easy one. Being a fashion designer, I thought I want to be a custom designer when I complete my studies, and I explored the custom design lifestyle, and I was like, boom, that's not me, you know. And I explored also the visual merchandising space, which I also did not feel comfortable in that space. And I had to think of what is it that I was gonna do, and I thought of I wanna be a lecturer, and the requirements, when I checked requirements of being a lecturer, they kept on evolving. That okay, we need this requirement, we need you to complete your degree, we need you to complete your masters. And then when I got to my fourth year, I was introduced into a research, and I did a little bit of study, an introduction of research, and I felt in love. It's like, oh no, this way is the kind of space that I can talk without being judged, you know, and without being critically analyzed, you know. So I can have even a twin somewhere else with somebody who has the same ideas as me, and that was very interesting to see that I can actually have the same concept that I would like to explore, and somebody else in another country has the similar study of interest that they're exploring, you know. So then that was the journey. And then I was right inside research.
And then you just decided you're never leaving.
I found it to be comfortable because I can express myself without being seen. You know, so I can just sit, find out things, and now express myself, find my opinion, and see what is it that I can say. And you know, also you'd find that you have a twin somewhere else, like that. This is like the most amazing when you're doing your literature, then you find that somebody else is interested in the same kind of field as you are, and there's actually literature on that. And once you find out, you're like, oh, so it's such a small world, so we think alike. We do we visualize or see things in the same perspective, and how we would also like to engage in that type of space is similar, but then now the differences would be like different location that would make that research to be special because of the location of where you guys find yourself at.
Yeah, what stands out for me is the without being seen part.
Without being seen.
So we all want to do all these amazing things, but it's the fact that you have to now, you know, stand and be seen somewhere doing this thing. That sort of hold you back. So you found this nice soft spot for yourself.
Yes, I've positioned myself in a comfortable space.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Dr. Marianne?
My experience is very similar to Katlego's in that my studies was what prompted me to become a researcher or to explore the research space, and I can completely empathize with the fact that it is definitely an converted activity, and that suits me absolutely fine. It's nice to read other scholarship. I'm just going to add a little bit. It's not just about finding like-minded people, but also finding people that disagree with you and why. I think I'm at that part in my research journey where I'm actually quite excited about engaging with people who have different opinions from me. But it definitely all starts with a conversation where you don't feel excluded from that space. You're asking questions. Your curiosity is fueled a lot more. It's not that somebody is feeding you information. You're actually actively seeking it. It makes that learning journey, that research journey, a lot more powerful and a lot more meaningful when you find the answer, when you've asked the right question. So,
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Marianne. You have an extensive list of papers that you've written, conferences that you've spoken at, and I'm just curious to know, have you had any particular moment or discovery in your research journey that reinforced your passion for this work that you're doing?
I certainly have one conference moment and one article moment. I've published extensively, and that's just because I've been curious to get feedback. One of the nice things about being a researcher is that when you put your work out there, it's a little bit of a brave moment. You get feedback that encourages you to dig deeper and learn more and be more curious and have the right questions posed to you. But there were two key moments that kind of moved me towards a more interdisciplinary field. Now, interdisciplinary research is more about it's like a holistic view of how different disciplines can interact, react, reinforce each other in building a more comprehensive picture about something. For me, I've centered a lot on ecological and environmental interdisciplinary studies. And that's mostly because it encompasses voices that have in previous research kind of been unheard. The first time I was exposed to interdisciplinary research was I attended the Anthropocene, and it's basically this idea that men and human beings have been in charge for regulating environmental aspects of the world to the point where it's actually created destruction. You think about the Industrial Revolution. And interacting with scientists, environmentalists, geologists, biologists, doctors, medical doctors, philosophers, interacting with them enabled me to understand something a lot more holistically, because we weren't talking against each other, we were finding a common language. And I think that is really important for interdisciplinary research, is how you find that common ground where you're talking with each other, engaging in conversations that are meaningful on various levels. And that's what I really enjoy. I enjoy that collaboration, that space where it's like a laboratory. It's the meaning is being constructed as it's being talked about. And the second one was I'm very much into film studies, so I don't know if there are any students who are interested in film studies, but I love doing film analysis, and I submitted an article on Avatar, and I looked specifically at human nature and technology and how they are interacting with, informing, changing each other as they interact. And I took a big risk writing that article because it was something I was still in the process of understanding. And receiving the reviewer feedback for that was really, really positive and powerful in terms of what my next step in my research would be. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. So just to reinforce on your comment about collaborating, I think it's very interesting because it ties in very well with what Katlego said earlier. You tend to think you have this bright idea and you start digging into it and you realize someone else has the same idea. They're just looking at it from a different context. But now you're even broadening it out to say it's not even just not in the same field or the same discipline anymore. It's the same topic being addressed by different disciplines and different professions. And I think for me that has been, one of the most exciting things about reading different articles as well, is that you can always find an angle that you're looking for. Katlego, do you want to add on to that?
Yeah, for example, with my studies or the kind of research that I'm doing, it's I've done a case study for master's level, and now for my PhD, I'm doing an exploratory study. So in the research now that I'm doing, or I'm focusing on, I'm exploring women who are affected by breast cancer, and I'm exploring the mastectomy bra. So in that space, you find that collaboration comes in without your knowledge. You find out that you have to work with medical practitioners, where now they would give you a background of medical point of view that, okay, breast cancer survivors, this is what is it that they are dealing with. And concerning the clothing part, the fashion part of it, which is the mastectomy bra, we now combine what medical practitioners are finding out, and also the psychologists in the discipline, that you would then find out that why is this women, how are they thinking, how are they affected with the loss of one breast or mastectomy. And then me being a fashion designer, now we are collaborating in solving a case, so you sort of like get to work with people that you don't see. As I'm saying that I'm very shy, so it's people that I can't see, but we are sharing the same concept into wanting to resolve an issue that is there, or trying to come up with ideas that can solve a problem, which is very, very interesting and liberating when you're finding yourself in that kind of a space that, so I can work with a doctor. I can source information that this affect women in a particular way, that it's as mastectomy, they can lose one breast, but because it's not my discipline, I'm learning from a doctor that a mastectomy, this is mastectomy. I'm learning in that space. And psychologists also, they give you a brief or a research point of view in terms of how women are affected by losing their breast. Is it a healthy thing? But I've learned that it's affecting women in a very negative way. And me as a fashion designer, it's like, so usually we know that women are wearing underwear, they're wearing bras, and bras is it's an everyday item that we're wearing, and we are expected to have breasts, So if a woman loses breast, you kind of like wonder that, how are they feeling now? And as a fashion designer, I want to resolve that. I want women to feel comfortable again when they're wearing their bras. And now getting into that space, it's it's almost as if you're on the edge of wanting to see the outcome of it. How is it going to be like when you complete it with your research?
It's a very interesting topic, and I would really love to hear more about it. But I'm just wondering, what was your thought process to arriving to that as a topic for your research?
It's very personal. It's very, very personal to me. I was exposed to cancer by the loss of my father. My father has passed by cancer. So I wanted to learn more about cancer particularly, and I also wanted to involve myself in that problem that I've seen, and how my experience with cancer, and how can I, as a fashion designer, as an individual, how can I be involved in this kind of a space? Because I just felt like I needed to do something. I needed to be part of an organization that would be helpful, So I thought of it that, I need to bring in cancer, because I need to, as I was doing my research, that the primary about it was like, there's breast cancer survivors, there's different kinds of cancer that are affecting women. And my interest was bras, because I've done a study for my master's about bra size and fit problems, and my focus in how I'm building myself as a researcher, I want to be a specialist in bras, so I'm exploring all kinds of fashion or bras, and trying to find out if I can resolve something, or if there's enough information that maybe I would also learn as I'm prompting into that kind of a space. So thank you so much for sharing your personal story with us. You're welcome.
Dr. Marianne, I'm just wondering if you have a similar experience regarding your thought process within your research.
I'm really struck by what Katlego was saying in terms of empathy.
Mm.
There's a difference between expressing I know what you're going through to I understand what you're going through.
Mm.
And it's really powerful that research starts with this idea of empathy.
Mm.
A lot of my research stemmed from certain environmental concerns that I had. Specifically, I was very interested, I don't know why, in deforestation and the impact on deforestation. So my empathies extend a little bit more environmentally, but as Katlego has so generously shared of her own personal journey, that a lot of your research starts with a question that hits your heart and fuels your passion, and wants to position, or that you desire to be positioned in a space where you are most useful based on your understanding of something and experience of something. When I went to the Hong Kong conference, I was exposed to a lot of statistics and a lot of personal human nature interactive stories that were actually quite emotionally jarring, and exposed me to other people's points of view. I'm not saying that that is always the reason why you do the research that you do. Sometimes it just comes from a disciplinary interest. But it also, a lot of my master's and doctoral journey has fed into what I'm doing now. My doctoral studies was a little bit more literature bound in terms of fantasy and why trees are in fantasy movies and fantasy novels. And it was a simple question, but it was a question that was derived from what I'd been exposed to as a child. In terms of reading, I had really good bibliophile parents who encouraged me to read and explore other worlds and explore other experiences. So I think I can kind of connect to Katlego in the sense that a lot of the reason why we research the way we research is derived from our experiences a little bit closer to home than a library or our academic journeys.
Yeah. So how do you then remain objective while you're carrying out your research and you're dealing with a very sensitive topic, something that hits very close to home? How do you ensure that you're remaining objective at all times?
I think that's training and having a really good mentor. I don't know what Katlego's experience is, but for me, I had a really good mentor who said that there is a difference between how you feel and how you work as a researcher. She encouraged me, certainly when I was doing my initial drafting of research and research papers, she said, just put all your emotions down on a piece of paper and let it out, because you've got to get it out. And first drafting of any kind of research output always tends to be very emotional for me. I tend to turn into a novelist. I'm writing these really epic adjectives and adverbs.
Yeah.
But the further drafts, she goes, okay, now that's out of your system. Now you've got to think like an academic.
I agree with you, Dr.
You have to have somebody going, how can you prove it?
Yeah.
You have to have somebody who says, now prove it.
Yeah.
So it pulls you out of opinion and more towards academics. So in the back of my head, I have this wonderful woman who was my mentor for, I think, about 10 years. At the back of my head, every time I write an article, she goes, I hear her saying, now prove it.
Yeah.
Katlego?
That's true. I'm actually in agreement with her, because as you're embarking in the journey of research, you always have to have a mentor, somebody who will guide you, somebody who will check your direction, that okay, you're going on the right way. This is not the way. Okay, so your mentor help you to sort of differentiate between you being personal and then you being a researcher, because at the end of the day, you need to be constructive and constructive as a researcher, and you also have to follow procedure or maybe protocol of research, that you can't just now be all sensitive and emotional that, oh guys, I want to solve a problem of women, of breast cancer survivors. No, you have to be objective and you have to prove it, that this is an actual case and this is what has been found, and this this is what hypothetically this is what we could find or experience. And you also do a sort of like a pre-research or a data collection that you have to test your questioning or your quality of research. If if you're there with that kind of if it's researchable for that matter. So once you sort of like test those spaces, you sort of like forget about your emotions, but then you just remember that the reason why I'm conducting this, it was for this reason. But then while you're actually in the space of researching, you sort of I forget about the problem that made me to get there. So now I end up being intrigued in how am I going about it? What is it that I'm finding out? And oh wow, and you find that on certain elements you were not expecting them. For when I did my master's, I was not expecting to find young people or young ladies to not have a knowledge of how to do your bra size, how to measure your bra size. But I found them with the knowledge and the resources that are here, and they still did not know, they still did not know how to take their bra size measurements. They still did not know how to wear a bra. And those, I found that to be like very interesting, that, you would think that because they are young students, they are exposed to internet, they are exposed to, you think that they are free to do things, but that was not the case. Finding young people not being able to adjust the bra, it was amazing, and it's something that I never expected that I would find. And to find them also uncomfortable with their bodies, it was something also very interesting that I don't expect you guys to be uncomfortable, but I found that out. And I found out that an adjustment of a bra, it's a skill, it's a learned skill that you need to teach somebody how to adjust a bra, and you need to sort of like make clients to be comfortable with measuring, and to make it a safe space and say you can actually take bra measurement with a tape measure. Consultants are there in the specialized store for them to assist you so that you end up knowing your bra size, and you can also be able to be in a position of choosing the correct bra size. So that was very interesting, with the fact that I was not expecting my findings.
So just allowing yourself to be immersed in the research, and not so much the emotions and the feelings behind why you took on that subject, led you to more findings, and very interesting findings as well. Have you ever felt a bit detached from any of your research topics before? You had this amazing idea when you started out, and then a few weeks or months down the line you thought, it's not as interesting anymore.
No, I have never, though I have experienced a lot of pressure that comes with it, a lot of commitments that all my time is given into this kind of space. It removes me from my personal life, it removes me from the fun times that I can have with other people. Because now, every time, even now, I would sit and think of, what is it that I have to do? What can I write about? I'm behind. Now I'm still a student. When I'm sitting and not doing anything, everything is research in my head. So I end up not being able to separate myself from what is it that I'm doing, or finding myself bored. Because I think research is for people who are inquisitive, people who would like to find out things, and also want to express their opinions. So no, I've never found myself like that,
detached.
No.
Dr. Miriam?
I don't think I've ever found it difficult, that I've disengaged from the topic. I think what it has been is that if I'm engaging with a new experience or a new field of inquiry, and I've collaborated with another lecturer at Inscape, Dr. Heather Good. When I collaborated with her within the educational context, I felt very unsure of myself because it was a context I was not really familiar with. I think you start feeling demotivated when you are fearful of not being up to the challenge. But inevitably you start, if you have an open mind, like Katlego says, if you're curious, you engage with research in a way that you want to learn more. It becomes better as you go along. I think the only other time I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm now really tired, I'm really uninterested in this research, was because I've spent 5 years doing my PhD and I thought 5 years is way too much time to hand it in.
I know.
Yeah. And so what has been then the most rewarding part about your research journey?
For me, it's when I graduate.
Yeah.
For me, it's when I graduate because it takes a lot of time. It removes you from so many things, as I've said. So when you finally print out those dissertations for submission, oh my God, that is like the most amazing thing in this world. I mean, the gown is not it.
Yeah.
So the it thing for me is when I'm submitting my dissertation that I have printed. Now it looks like a book. It has been edited. It has been gone through all the necessary processes, because also it can be a process. It's not also a process of, oh no, submit your project and we mark you. No, this one, it's a different kind of feeling, because it's your independent work, and you get to learn more about yourself, that, oh God, I've made it by myself. I've done it. So research and studying further, it has that fulfillment of, oh, I'm able to do this kind of a thing, and this I have completed. The completion of it, it's amazing, guys. I don't even know how to express it. Getting inside the program and studying it is also overwhelming, that you don't know what is it that you're gonna find. You don't know how are you going to handle the pressure, and how are you going to handle everything that you're gonna be finding out about research, because there's a thing that is very intimidating for me. It's research methodology. Oh my God, research methodology. I don't know, it's like I'm facing this demon that I always have to fight, when I'm doing research methodology, because research methodology, it's another area of research that is different. You get to learn about your direction that you want to take, your position as a researcher. What kind of a position is it? How are you planning to execute this kind of a research? And you're not allowed to miss any step. It's a process or a chapter that one needs to know what is it that you're doing, and that was extremely intimidating. Even now, I'm still writing a proposal, and I still had to learn a lot about research methodology. So fulfillment is when I'm submitting. It's when the study is completed.
Dr. Marianne?
I'm just listening to Katlego and I'm listening, nodding as I'm listening, because it's exactly that. It's so difficult to explain to somebody. It's like you're holding I don't know if you've ever seen this online, but there's people with PhDs and masters that have like baby shoots. They're holding it in a blanket. This is their private joy. They just and honestly, it's a lot like that. So it is finished, and I am better for it, and that's all that really matters. I danced across the stage, but I thought that's for show for everybody else. But when it came to submitting, I was like, oh my goodness, I did this. And when you're handing it to somebody else, it feels very biblical. It feels like this whole dissertation or thesis should start with, in the beginning, the earth and the end, amen. It feels biblical. But it's difficult to explain to somebody, and when you put it into perspective, I can't remember the statistics exactly, but if you think about it, you're 7% of the country will know what you've gone through for dissertation, for masters. 1% will know what you're going through for PhD. And that's how profound it is when you're thinking about it.
It's a lot.
So what should we expect from you ladies in the next few months?
Expectation of few months. Telling it takes like 5 years to complete a study, and then as you are studying, there's also a lot of expectations, because as you can see that my created journals are new. I'm still fresh. I'm still a new publisher. It took me a while. I completed a long time ago, and only now I started to write
Right,
because
yeah.
I'm back as a PhD student, and that is expected. It's one of the expectations that are there in the discipline of research, that oh no, you can just be a researcher and not publish any articles.
Yeah.
You know, you have to involve yourself as a researcher. You need to talk with other researchers and evolve as a researcher, because there's no way that you can just be a researcher and not evolve. You need to write articles. You need to learn about how to write articles, how to you expose yourself to the publication space. Now, what does it mean to have a publication? You know, you also get to learn how now to go to conferences and go present your story and go to be that part that we don't like, you know, of going into spaces of attending conferences, and now you would have people asking you questions, people who would agree with you, people who don't agree with you, exposing yourself in such spaces. And also it's a lot. It's almost as if it's a lifestyle. You can't do anything else but research. You know, you study, you find out things, you write articles, you publish. And also publishing, it can be a strain, you know, because as you're publishing, fellow other researchers are looking at you and they're expecting that from you. It's not just that, oh no, I can just be a doctor without any publication. No, you become a doctor with publications. That is expected of you. Otherwise, you sort of you know how people would say that this is a scam, you know, because it doesn't end. It doesn't end. It automatically become a lifestyle that, oh, I have to publish regularly. I have to attend conferences. I have to be a member of certain organization if I'm in this discipline. So you're forever busy in the research space. Yeah.
Dr. Marianne, you had a couple of articles in your pipeline.
I've got 2 book chapters in the pipeline at the moment. I'm branching out, so it's so difficult to talk about your research journey in reflection when you realize, no, I'm in the middle of it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm not like sitting in a wingback chair with like the smoking jacket reflecting on my life. But I'm starting to be a little bit more brave in terms of what I'm wanting to do. I've published articles and I've enjoyed that process. I'm now, at the moment, I'm co-editing a special edition of one of the journals, the academic journals that I used to write for, which is really exciting, especially looking at the publishing from that perspective. You know, getting reviewers matched with articles so we can get some meaningful feedback to authors and supporting them. So it's just another gear that I found. In terms of my book chapters, it's due to be published really soon. There's an essay that I'm including in a book called Mythological Equines, which is basically horses and myth. And then I'm doing a special issue of The Never-Ending Story. I'm doing an essay for that book. The Never-Ending Story was a 1980s film. Very avant-garde, but very, very cool. And I thought, okay, I can contribute to that. I continue to be a reviewer. I continue to read. I don't think I'm going to be publishing for a little while now, but I'll probably get back into it in October and see what I can contribute. There's some very nice projects that are in the pipeline with regards to that. So
Okay. One last question. Any last words for young and upcoming academics that wants to get into research?
Last words. It's something that is doable. It's something that is achievable. It's something that it's exciting, and it's something that you would admire or cherish once you get into it. It's not a space that it will be filled with regrets, but it's a space that will be fulfilling, you know, because it's nice when you have something to share. It makes you to have something that you'll be able to share. So it's a discipline that it's achievable, it's doable, and it's a safe space. It's a fulfillment space. So they should get into it.
Thanks, Katlego. Dr. Marianne?
Yes, I know that some students are listening to this, and I think the biggest advice that I can give in terms of how you get involved in research is start listening to the people who are guiding you through your research projects at school. You are learning this new skill. Some people latch onto it very easily and feel very comfortable in that space because they are curious by nature. For others, they want to solve bigger problems. But when you're getting started with research, start small, start focused, start within your communities. Start with questions that you feel are important to solve because you are passionate about it, and focus on your passion and develop from there. For lecturers who are wanting to move into the research space, one of the things that I really enjoyed doing in my early research career is collaborating. So don't start writing articles by yourself. It tends to be quite overwhelming. But rather collaborate with researchers or people that have the same interests as you, so that you are in some ways building each other's knowledge together. It might be that you collaborate with a mentor or an older researcher, a more seasoned researcher, but it doesn't mean that you can't research and you can't put publications out there. If you feel like you need to learn, pull people alongside you to help support you, to teach you, to guide you through publishing, to teach you and guide you through pursuing your studies further. Those kinds of things I felt that were really, really important. Find people to support you, your peers, your mentors.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for gracing us with your time today and for sharing your knowledge. We are forever indebted by everything that you've imparted on us today.
All right. You're welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Katlego.
Thank you.